free-tail bats can fly thousands of feet above ground, and they can travel at, get this, with a tailwind, they can go 100 miles an hour.
What?
100 miles an hour. And our bats from the bridge could easily be feeding clear down on the coast at some nights. I've watched on Doppler weather radar. We can watch them really well on radar. And I've watched where they come out of, let's say, Bracken Cave down near San Antonio, and we see the front band of moving bats crossing 4 to 5 counties in 12 minutes.
Wow. I had no idea. I thought they were, like kind of like bird speed, like a regular bird.
Bats are by far the most maneuverable, best flyers in the world. They can do things that neither birds nor insects can do in flight.
And why is that?
They don't have fixed hard wings, like insects. The wings are made of chitin, and they don't bend that much except at the joints. And birds' feathers aren't nearly as flexible as the skin on a bat's wing.
Wow.
Actually, the skin on a bat's wing, it's 2 layers, and that skin has been rated as 19 times tougher than a surgeon's glove.
Wow, really?
And what's really cool is even if they get damaged badly, it's amazing what their healing powers are. Sometimes a bat can even have a broken wing, and the swelling around the break will act like a cast and will hold the bone in place where the bat still is able to fly and survive until it can recover.
So these bats that we have the fast-moving bats that are the Brazilian bats, and then you have the other bats which are more maneuverable, but they don't go as fast?
That's true. And these bats tend to feed in different types of places.
And the fact that these Brazilian bats can make it all the way down to the coast, and then they come back to the bridge at night?
Well, I'm not saying they make it all the way to the coast. The trouble is we haven't yet done good enough tracking to know.
Can we put like a little GPS band on a bat, or is it too big?
Yeah, we can radio track bats. We'd love to radio track them when they migrate south and see where they're going, but it can be a real problem trying to track a bat at night across the U.S.-Mexican border without getting shot down by somebody. I was down looking for bats in the daytime one time with a friend who was an ex-aircraft Navy pilot, and we were in his private plane looking for bats down low along the New Mexico-Texas border. And first thing we knew, we got forced to land by drug agents that had overtaken us. And when we landed, we were surrounded by guys with guns, thinking they had really made the catch of the year, somebody dumb enough to fly in the daytime with his drugs. And they were very disappointed to find out we were just bat people.
So when it comes to bats around the world, how much variation is there? I know that there's some really large bats in Asia, right?
There's big variation. There's, yes, large bats in Southeast and in Asia,
What's
Africa.
The biggest bat?
The biggest bat has a wingspan of almost 6 feet. I
Whoa.
have a colleague who swears that the biggest ones sometimes actually get to 6 feet.
What is that bat?
Flying foxes. There are 200 kinds of flying foxes. Some of them are small and some are big.
Look at the size of that sucker.
These are really neat bats. And it's not just these great big bats, but one of the world's smallest mammals is a bat. The little bumblebee bat from Thailand weighs a third less than a U.S. penny.
Look at the size of that thing. That's in the Philippines? Is that what that is? Is that what it says, Jane?
Yeah. These flying foxes are in the Philippines, yes, but they're in a wide area of the old world tropics. We're very concerned about them because, for
Go back
one,
to that photo with the guy next to it, so we can see it, the perspective. No, the one, yeah, that one. Look at that. That's crazy.
I think it's a little too close.
Well, that's
force perspective.
That's kind of like holding your fish out a bit in front of you to exaggerate.
But it seems, even if it's A forced perspective. That
But-
seems pretty large.
I've never gone there and personally seen it, but I'm told that there's a place on the island of Bali where there's a guy that has tamed wild flying foxes that have these nearly 6-foot wingspans. And visitors can actually come and he'll call them down out of the trees and they can hang on their arms sometimes for a photo. These are wild bats.
So he tamed them with food, just
Yeah.
got them accustomed to feeding off.
Well, one of the secrets of I don't know if you've seen my large photo collection. I have the largest collection of bat photos in the world. And a lot of my photos, I get these incredible pictures because I can actually train bats to come and do their natural thing where I can photograph them.
And how do you do that?
Well, when I was a teenager, I learned falconry. And in falconry, you train the hawk to come back on call for a small reward in your hand. And it's the same thing with bats. You train them to get a reward from coming to your hand. And
There's some of your photos there.
yeah,
Whoa. And what has that little fella got in his mouth?
he's got a fig. Now that brings up a whole nother story. Bats like that account for up to 98% of the first seed dispersal into cleared areas in Africa. And as you may be aware, desertification is one of the biggest threats in Africa. People cut down the forests. They abandon the land after a few years when it's not any longer productive. And then you very much need something to reseed it. And these fruit-eating bats are often badly over-harvested for human food, and most recently because they've been wrongly blamed as the source of Ebola. And when that happens, people don't tolerate them anymore, and there goes the seed dispersal that people need if they're going to continue to have viable land.